World of YouTube, Terrible Sight here. Dabbling over another case of unsolved mysteries. And going back in time, this is a case of a young, wonderful looking woman. Here we have a female born 75, birth rate. You have some differing characteristics of a birthmark on right side of her neck. Her ears are triple pierced. And was last seen 4/26/2000. Now, this is one of these cases that just really make you wonder what really goes on within, our system, is what I'll call it. Of course, it'll bring on what I'm talking about later on, but another thing is you got that old saying, boy, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Vegas being a very, that's right, powerful place on this earth. I mean, I don't even have to get into what everybody wants to think, who runs that place, but, that place is just, as in the great Bon Scott vocals, and beautifully written by the awesomely helmed AC/DC, as they call it in their song, Sin City. That's right. That's the best way to pronounce Vegas. Reno, Nevada. Sin City. But, this poor girl, right, decides to move to this Sin City. And from there, everything, of course, takes a turn for the worst. Turn for the worst. And, when you got a girl as, good looking as this going into a big, huge city, the imagination can run wild about what could have happened to her. But strangely enough, there was even, speculations of prostitution. The most worst thing you can ever get yourself into, I believe. I don't care how much money you make. There's no way a prostitute, or even what they call them, escorts, are even, valued in life. The value of yourself is just a friggin' piece of dirt on the ground you walk on. That's what I think. And for people to just turn to this, lifestyle, it's degrading. That's right. Poor value. Why didn't she go on to be like a showgirl, show dancer? Or something like that. But of course, she was only 5'4", so... But, possibilities could happen. But anyways, this girl has just gotten herself so wound up in some deliberate mess that, right, it just goes on to, leave your imagination to run wild. And in 2000, this woman was, I believe it was she had a friend, and they were both on the tarmac of the friggin' airport in Reno, Nevada. How they got there and why they got into a friggin' airport and had the luggage and stuff loading, and, where the planes are friggin' pulling in, taking off. One could only imagine what they were running from. But she had emails sent to the White House on how probably the White House, the government, wanted to kill her. I mean, and that's why this, I believe, why this goes on to say, oh, she went into prostitution. You know, she went and took the bad life, and then she had a real bad drug habit. Yeah, huh? Of course, that's gonna get thrown in there. I mean, from what you could tell from the family, and when you have a family speaking for this advocate for the girl here, they know best. She had a happy childhood. She was very, bright. Wouldn't be the one you would expect to say, hey, I'm just going to go sell my body to the night. No, I think she wanted to go to Reno, Nevada to make probably a good life. The drugs and all this crap, I think, is thrown in here for a cover up. And, but yeah. She's out here running, probably trying to catch a flight and being followed. Ended up on the tarmac or whatnot. And got picked up by, I think, it was security, but there was nothing criminal she was doing. She wasn't going like she was going through people's luggage. She wasn't going to sabotage a friggin' plane. She just said she was looking for her sister. Of course, she's calling his friend her sister because you probably got a good attachment as friends out there. And so forth. So, and then her car, and this is the thing. The type of woman in the prostitution. And I'll tell you right now, from what I've learned or heard or, because, I lived on the other side of the tracks. Prostitution in, the real life, not this frickin' lavish life you see some that do. When it's in the real world, some of them, a majority of them, will make good money. But if they got a bad drug habit, they're spending that money. I mean, I've heard some horror stories, read some horror stories, and you can look it up online, of course, but a lot of these girls have, what do they call them, track marks. You know when they're using. And, some lose their teeth, some, go to malnutrition. They look like a friggin' rail, a skinny, bony bone bag. It's just disgusting. And I would say, learning is about this stuff because, curiosity, is always a factor. And you want to learn about, I learn about things. And to learn about what these people do, it's like, oh my God. It's just ridiculous. I've even heard of people talk about escorts. It's like, what the Okay. But anyways, it's just mind-blowing because this woman, when her car was found, their cell phone, a purse, $6,000. She had emails. She had copies of the emails sent to the White House. The government was trying to murder her. That kind of makes her look kind of foolish because the government is the White House. So whatever she fell upon into being out there in Reno, Nevada, of course, like we say, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, especially if there's a government official out there. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, you heard me. One of them guys out there, right? So, with that being said, who knows what she stumbled upon? She was a cashier, I believe, say so, at a pawn shop. this whole article says. But here we go with this, and there are two very likely possibilities. The first is that she's suffering from some type of either organically caused or drug-induced psychosis and is sick, a sick woman. Doesn't know who or where she is. That would be a typical friggin' just like, say so, Marilyn Monroe. You know, take a good look into that, as we have one of the most beautiful women in the world back in the 60s. She came from nowhere. You know, she changed her name. She's up there finally getting to sing to the president happy birthday, but so much so into the most seductive singing birthday song you could have ever imagined. In front of his wife. In front of the world. And I mean, yeah, what kind of woman does that if that person is not in love, like they say? She wasn't going to be treated like a piece of meat. That's right. So what did this girl do? And if she did say so, get into that profession and got up into a government official? Oh, well then that would explain why she's on the run. She also goes on, she had a very happy childhood, dependable, very trusting person. You know, these are the things that your parents would not lie about. Some do, don't get me wrong, but you'll know, the low lives from the good lives. And, there's a lot of low lives out there. But I ain't getting into that, everybody can see for a fact. Say like the case up in New Hampshire. Poor little girl named Harmony that got murdered by her own father. And right then and there, when you see this type of stuff comes out, and then you got the other little girl in Tennessee. I was covering her story, and her parents went on Dr. Phil, and you could tell they were lowlifes, and you could tell that's something that they did. And damn, I forget her name, but that blonde little girl in Tennessee that got missing, and her mother's out there with teenage kids drinking, talking about how Harmony might have drowned, but they covered up something. It's all not Harmony, sorry, that other girl's name, I can't remember it off the top of my head. I got the videos up though. Someone literally sent me pictures of that, and I still have them to this day, but went over them and everything, pictures taken by the mother in a secluded wooded area, and blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, them are the people I talk about that sit there and try and make themselves look good, try to make themselves like, oh, my daughter, and we're good people, but they're really not. So, but this girl, I'm telling you, she looks like a, person that comes from a nice, respectable family. A picture says 1,000 words. So for this girl to head out to Reno, Nevada, and maybe she did try something in that line of prostitution, escorting, but maybe she didn't like it. Maybe she valued herself too much to say, I can't do this. And even if there was, say so, someone that came in, such as a higher official, and maybe she recognized that person. Oh, you're the guy on TV! And this guy's on the news with a wife, with kids, and here he is in a room with a woman that he's gonna just pay for. And, it's like, oh my God. But who knows? The imagination can go really so far as she could have got caught up with a serial killer also. Don't have to be all this crap. I mean, she was running, in what better place to go to an airport, and I'm sure at that time, I mean, they do have, and they did have surveillance. You know, not that strong security. Oh, no, yeah, not that strong security, but surveillance, I'm sure, was put in. A lot of airports started putting in a lot of surveillances, right? Got a lot of stories from airports that have missing people running through it like that guy did. He was running, I mean, going around erratically. All of a sudden, you see him run out of the airport, see him hopping a fence, and then disappears. You know, whatever the case may be, whoever she was running from, the possibilities and imagination can go. And just to sit here and read this one article, this one motive or couple motives, is not the way a case should be handled. You have to put out all possibilities, all kinds of twists and turns in the maze to get through it and, you know, to find that happy ending of you getting out of it. But in this case, yeah, we don't know what she's ever gonna be found, or let alone who murdered her, because what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. So, yeah, you know, we got according to her friend, her drug habit cost more than she made. Said police believe she began to took up other ways to make money, so. But for some reason, she drew some pictures, this is one of them, of a girl bound up and tied. She said she felt somebody was following her, and when she talked on the phone, she thought maybe the phones were tapped. You know, somebody was listening, and she mentioned how someone was going on, and she was afraid of her life, and she wouldn't discuss any more than that. So, with that being said, you know damn well who does the wiretappings. So, I mean, whether or not she stumbled on a girl being bound and tied, and whoever was behind it, and got away, they chased, try hunting her down. Whatever the case may be. You know, there's a lot of stuff. And, you know, according to her mother, Star wanted to turn her life around. She talked about flying home, and she wanted to see. And this is another thing. If she's telling her mother, I'm done, I want to turn myself around, that means maybe she did try something too. But yes, she did not like it, the style. And if you get into that stuff, man, and you hear the stories, you hear the horror stories, you know, the prostitutions, you end up like getting picked up by Ted Bundy or people like that. Serial killers, the Boston Strangler. You know, well, I don't think he did, I think he might have did some prostitutes, but there's a line of serial killers out there that friggin' done this. But when you got wiretap and you got the White House involved and you're typing shit and you think she had to have known or seen something. And of course, this case is just gonna fly through the air and keep being forgotten. Because I'll tell you something, the only way I remember this case, and I do remember this long ago on watching Unsolved Mysteries, but when it came up again, I was like, oh shit, I remember this. But you don't hear much of it. She was seen in December, 8 months after she disappeared. I mean, this has been a case like the Maura Murray case, mistaken identity. And I think this woman had that. Being chased, I was trying to escape from a pimp. Well, pimp, you know, whatever. So, I mean, here you have gold on. You know, here's some more stuff of that. She saw a man looking through a window at her. And, so she was definitely being chased. Now, say so if it was a pimp type lifestyle, being in prostitution, you know, and you got that secret, you know, standby you're supposed to rule you live by, and Las Vegas stays in Vegas. She could have rightfully gotten hooked up by this pimp if that's what she was doing, to a man, government official. You know, and if she was into this lifestyle, as it says, being chased by whoever it is, pimp, government official, she could have stumbled upon, right, this is what happened to you, bitch, if you get out of line, if you don't do what you're told. So, I mean, it could be a possibility. And I mean, for her to friggin' not take that $6,000 in cash, fly the F home, no, and stop running, even if that's what she was trying to do at the airport. She should have took that money and purse and all her identification and just leave everything else and get the hell out of Dodge. Why wouldn't she just go home? I mean, unless they knew where she exactly lived and she didn't want to bring the trouble home. But, you know, you got pimps, you got government officials, you got the White House involved. So, obviously, she was in fear of her, you know, family's life if she would have went home. You know, there's so many things you can think of in this case. But to disappear, have all this witnesses, you know, something could have came out of this. Something could have prevented this if she just would have went to the right, proper people. But then again, you got to think, government involved, I rest my case. It's just sick. You know, you could sit there and go and throw out biker gangs, being, ruthless, violent, vicious people that kill innocent people. Well, guess what? What about this case? What about what's in here? When you got emails copied for the White House, you ain't safe nowhere. It doesn't matter if it's a biker club or a freaking government official. John F. Kennedy. I always use that man. Why? Because I had a friggin' article of the original EMT that got interviewed in a friggin' article, and he said Men in Black. Not the alien side, but Men in Black people in suits came wandering up in that place and kicked him out. He could have saved Marilyn Monroe, but he got kicked out. So, and I believe that, so I don't care what anybody says. You want to know why, what's his name? Mr. Hustler magazine creator got shot? Because he did write, and he did go beyond in articles that brought the truth. And people didn't like that. And you could just imagine up there, say so, and I'm about to wonder if he did get shot. And that's something to think about. Did the owner of Hustler get shot because maybe he printed this article of Marilyn Monroe? I'll tell you, a lot of wicked things go on behind closed doors. But hey, who am I to fucking talk? Who am I to speak? You know, maybe one day me trying to reveal something, I'll get shot. Because somebody don't want me to speak and bring out other thoughts, theories, and ideas of a case. You know, clean up this country so we can live a better life. There wouldn't be so much murders and racism and all this crap. The country would just stop being the creator of it. Well, you might want to look more into this. You go to Unsolved Mysteries, type in that name, and check it out. But whatever. Till that next video, be safe, take care, and always beware. And if you go out to Reno, Nevada, Las Vegas, make sure you're only out there to just try and win that $1 million jackpot at the goddamn casinos. Stay out of the streets, or you're gonna get messed up, killed, or disappear. Out.